My mixes, they sucked. For real. For many years. Let me give you an idea. Listen to this. Ew, that was bad. Now listen to this. What a difference. I admit there was a magic. Not the magic that I thought it would be. The difference between these two is just faders, EQ, and this flowchart. Now that I am pro, nothing stops me to spill all the beans and make you pro too. No secrets shall stay secret. So, hop in. But before we jump in, I'm coming to Berlin to play in Ritterbuske. I am super excited for this because Berlin is always fun. If you want to have a great night with me and dance your heart out, you can get your tickets on the description below. Yeah, pretty bad. You may think that it will need a lot of work to fix this one, but not really. So what I'm going to do is use this chart to roughly get my mix like 80% ready, and you will be using only two tools, EQ and the fader of your DAW. Super straightforward. So we start from left side over here, group, up and solo low end. In our track the low end will be probably the kick, and then we have the bass. Ctrl G, and now we have the low end group. Then we have the question gate. It just says, do you have a reference? For this video I'm not going to use any reference, but if you want me to show you also the reference version and how you use this one with the reference, let me know on the comment section. We can maybe make another video just for that. So in this case we say no. The first thing is bring your kick to -6 dB using a free tool, Yulin loudness meter. You can see the loudness of each element. If you are going after peak levels, this will be very helpful. I'm gonna push it up. The reason I like to put the kick -6 dB is it just helps you to mix always at the same levels, so you train your ears more and more. By using only fader, set your subs -6 to 12 dB below your kick. The only thing that you should be minding is like it sits right for you. I'm going to turn off the top bass, right, and solo my low end now. So we are only hearing sub bass over here. Alright, one thing, let me come clean. This chart doesn't include the sidechain because in my world sidechain is so ingrained in electronic dance music, you should be already doing it anyway. So here you see my compressor and shaper box just for sidechaining sub and to the kicks, right? So keep that in mind. Let's go. How do we read this one? So obviously kick, and the lower end here is bass. And here we can easily see -6 here, and now we are -14, so 8 dB difference. Right here around 8.5 dB lower than the kick. Alright, next one. Adjust the gain of your bass, or if you have percussion bass, and EQ out the sub so it sounds glued to sub bass. Alright, let's do that. If I go to my top bass and just put a simple EQ, we see that I have a sub in this case. So what I would do, cut that sub. Now it says EQ so that it sounds glued to your sub bass. The thing that matters is that it sounds more like a top end of your sub bass, because top bass loudness depends on your sub bass loudness. And in this case, our anchor is sub bass. Together, you can bring it like this. Right there, it feels like we are almost using single bass line. Now if you are using single bass line for both sub bass and the bass, what you can do, just use a low pass and let the sub bass pass through so that you can adjust the loudness of sub bass first, and then you can just take off the low pass and that will be your low end. If the high end sounds a bit too loud, take an EQ, boost a little bit or cut a little bit. Then it says group up and solo your high end. In my track, I have these 3 things as a high end. A super classic hi-hat, a 16-hat, off-hat, and a bit accents in between. Bring your hi-hat picks relative to the kick level. That means that we have to read this card over here. Now this relationship is different depending on your genre. My track is like melody deep house, so I will put it like -3 to 12 dB. These are common values, like your decisions, your song. But I'm just giving you a common direction. Go back here and find the loudest one. Now, one thing that you should be careful here is like I have two off hats kind of. I have this more sustained part and I have transient part here. Be a bit careful here because when they on top of each other, they will be louder. So what you can do, solo the group, take off the 16 hats. Let's go our ukulele. Peaking around -4, it's way too loud. Just match these two together. Then I control both of them. This one is louder a bit more, so I'm going to bring this down. Now I'm going to listen together. All right. We are now around -7. If you feel like you want to control a bit more, you can always play with the low end. Right? It gives you a ballpark estimate. For me, I feel like my track is a bit like this kind, nice, smooth track. So I'm going to pull down both of them a bit more. Just a little bit more. And if I solo this again, we are around -11-ish. So -6 dB below the kick level. If you go back, it says adjust your quiet percussions 3 to 12 dB below your hi-hats. Now, in this case, my quiet percussion is 16 hat. So theory is they should be lying behind the main hat, feel the space. So if we solo all together, I'm gonna now bring this down. Something like this. Then it says inside your channel EQ sounds where they overlap and create separation. Now, do you remember what I said? These two? These are two kind of similar sounds. So what I will do, use this one as like a darker part, use this one as the higher part. So super simple. Put an EQ on both. Let's start with this one. Hi-hats often have a tendency or this specific band. I'm seeing this hi-hat really likes to pop around 6.8 kilohertz. So what you can do, go to other hi-hat, bring the scale down so it opens a space for other hi-hat, right? And then I see this hi-hat wants to go a little bit more here. And that means I can go here now and give a bit space like this. Now they sound much cohesive together, right? And then we have these 16 hats over here. Because we have a bit like drop off on the highs, in both other ones, I'm going to push this one a bit more here. So simple. Like if you just consider like a puzzle piece, they just fit into each other and suddenly sound much cleaner. This helps me to bring even more. Perfect. Next one. Group up the solo pads, ambiances and drones. So in my track, I have the pad sound. And then this noise kind of gives me ambience. Right? Let's group them up. Bring down -12 to 24 dB below kick. Now, remember, if you have a pad sound that you use like a lead sound, then you should treat like a lead sound, which I have, and I will come to that. So in this case, this is more like ambience filling up the space. I'm just going to boost them a bit so that I hear the dominantly pads. -26, so we are in good ballpark. So you play together now and just listen. Do you see how smooth everything just flows? EQ cut below 100 Hz so we don't crash with the bass. And do a high cut as well if you have hi-hats. In this case, we have these very crispy hi-hats and I would really avoid pads taking energy from them. So put an EQ here, cut the lows. I'm going to cut even something like this. Let's go back. Sidechain EQ to open space if need for hats, so that when hats hits you, put a cut. In this case, we don't. It's really needs. The next one, group up and solo leads. In this case, I have this gorgeous, like this was what I mean, like pad sounds, but not really. And then we have this. Just a pluck layer. And I have this. Arpeggio. And then I have this. So this part will be the most challenging part for the mix pro because we have a lot of things going on. Bring your lead peaks relative to the lead levels. Now, again, we have this card on the right and it says your leads depends on the genre and the vibe that you are going for. For my track, probably I won't go above the kick because it's a smoother track, right? That being said, we had the same problem like we had previously with hi-hats, like these two. I'm going to just group them up. So we are around -10. I will probably push this a bit more. Then I'm gonna solo the other guy. Okay, way too loud. It goes up and down because there's a dynamic sound. Take a look at the overall peak. Like here around -17, maybe a bit louder. Now again, the dynamic between the chords and the arp is very important here. Together they are approaching the -9, so we are 3 dB below. I feel like something like this. Now when we play together, we can still pull whole leads group depending on how it feels. But let's go back and take a look. Bring your background leads to 9 dB below your main lead. So in this case, my background lead is this one. Right, just there. And I'm looking at is like -27. I will probably make it a bit more loud. Together. Good, isn't it? EQ sounds where they overlap and create separation. This is exactly what we were looking for. Because here, I really want these two to separate a little bit from this one. So what I need to do, don't overcomplicate stuff. Obviously, the arp wants to be bright, the chords want to be dark, right? Take an EQ, like this, and put one to arp. Give a bit boost here probably. Remember, we did this boost, it will volume up a little bit. So we're gonna bring down both of them a bit more. It sounds pretty good. Now what we do, again, play together. You can always adjust these small fader movements. Very good. Now, if we go back here, this is the end. 4 vocals follow vocal flow chart. And one thing that is missing over here is actually the percussions. The main reason percussions could be wild cards. You may want to have quiet claps or very hard hitting snares. Percussions is your taste. In this case, I have this clap. Just listen and decide, right? Doesn't matter that much. Final thing, and it says, now listen everything together and EQ the clashing sounds between the groups and finalize the rough mix. You may have a lead sound and a pad crashing, so you have to listen overall mix now and adjust with EQ. Let's listen together. The one thing that hits me, arps are a bit bright, so I'm gonna actually bring down because it takes over from the hats a little bit and give the chords a bit more volume. Isn't this magical? Are there more things that we can do? 100%. We can go a bit deeper, polish everything, but knowing this much will probably get your sound the pro level territory. And if you want to go deeper into mixing, I have a whole, I think 15 hours of master classes or courses on topic as well. Even longer version of this video is there. So if you want to learn more about like in-depth mixing, take a look at my everything about mixing course. It is really full with this type of charts, and I'm mixing start to finish an artist that has millions of streams, released with the biggest labels and so forth. So you really get to see how a pro mixing session looks like. But if you want to learn more about music production and mixing, I have more videos over here. Take a look.